Welcome to Keep What You Earn, a show for entrepreneurs and business owners who want to scale and build enterprise value without making costly mistakes. I'm your host, Shannon Weinstein. I'm a CFO and CPA who left a career serving Fortune 50 companies in Wall Street to help business owners just like you make life-changing wealth with your business. These episodes are meant to be super tactical and actionable, but please remember, consult your own financial professional before you implement anything you learn in this podcast. Now, if you'd be interested in working with us to do so, check out the show notes for more information about our company, Keep What You Earn Co. All right, let's start the show.
All right, so in today's episode, we're going to unpack more of the core offer profit, which is the term that I went through on our last couple episodes as we go through the Profitable Scaling Playbook. And this is phase one. Core offer profit really is fundamentally, are you selling something for more than you bought it for? And if you're not, again, we got to revisit all of it. So here is the constraint when it comes to your core offer profit. If you're not making enough for every unit, every service, every customer you sell to be able to support the cost, or to be able to support the cost to run your business, meaning you're not keeping enough of that money to be able to then use it to run your business, then we have a problem at the core offer profit level. Now, here's what you want to be focused on. If you feel like you have this problem and you've computed it and you're like, I don't really think it's where it should be, then this is what to do. We want to focus on first, pricing. We want to look at the ratio of your price to your costs. You want to figure out, hey, there's pricing and there are costs that are variable here, right? That you might be able to control. But you're in the best control of price, because if you try to control your costs, there's only so much you can do without sacrificing quality or without pissing off your suppliers. And at a certain point, they can only go so low for you, right? So there's a kind of a ceiling of how much cost cutting you can do versus pricing you really want to revisit. So there's a couple of things to look at here. When it comes to pricing, you really want to focus on product market fit. I'd say the vast majority of issues I see with core offer profit is product market fit, because what I see are people who are charging a certain amount, but they have super high costs, okay? And that margin, that difference between your price and your costs is super thin. In order to fix that, what we have to do is raise the price. Now, what that can also mean, though, is that you have to go up market for your customers. This is the issue. People will try to raise the price to increase the margin. And a byproduct of that is your current customer base can no longer afford your services, can no longer afford your pricing. And this is a mindset shift that you need to make if you're going to choose this option to elevate your margins. You have got to be thinking about, is my price point, the price point I need to charge? If I'm not going to reduce my costs, if my costs are what they are, I need to be charging X dollars per service, right? Or per product. Am I targeting the right market that will pay this price? Now, I'm not saying that you should simply elevate your price and go up market as a global solution, but I am saying that a lot of the times people will be undershooting what they could be charging. They're scraping by on barely any margin just to get that dopamine hit of selling. They're selling their services, they're selling their products at a very slim margin just because it makes them feel good to keep selling and to get the yeses. You really got to be looking at your close rates. You should not be closing 100% of your sales, especially for like a high ticket service. You should not be closing 100% of your sales. Your price is too low. You should be getting some resistance, a healthy amount of resistance. So if your close rates are too high and you believe the market that you're going after, which might have to be elevated, that market can tolerate a price increase, you should explore it.
Hey, real quick, are you learning anything in this episode that you think is share worthy? Well, if you could take a quick screenshot and share any of your biggest takeaways or quotes from this episode, post it to Instagram and make sure to tag me at Shannon K. Weinstein and at Keep What You Earn. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Let's dive back in.
You should definitely be looking at maybe even positioning your product or service a little bit better, a little bit more elevated, and look at your branding and look at the market that you're trying to sell to. The other thing you want to do is look at your contract terms. So if you're not getting enough sales, and the thing that impacts that might be refunds, chargebacks, it might be discounts, There are other things that affect your sales that you may not realize are kind of leaking out. You may see the net sales and net deposits, but what you have to keep in mind is the frequency at which you have refunds, chargebacks, and you have discounts. Discounts are the big one. You may be over offering discounts, and you may be a little bit too lax with your payment terms in terms of how your customers pay, when they pay. You may actually be getting whacked for your payment fees a lot. So you got to be looking at your payment fees. You should be implementing a strict no refunds policy. And you should 100% be upcharging for any out of scope work, any upgrades, anything like that. Anything that is going to be an out of scope addition, you should be charging for it. Now, what you want to be doing is you can maybe discount the upcharge slightly, but you got to make sure that you have a strategy on pricing any sort of upgrades where you're going to be covered on any additional margin and be able to make the profit margin you need to still. This is a big one though. I think actually what solves this problem the most when it comes to profitability of your offer is actually editing down and pruning down to increase your focus. By that, I mean, you may be doing too much, especially if you're service-based. Maybe you have this sense of guilt that you need to be working harder or doing more for your clients, when in reality, you're just wasting time. You're not getting paid for that time. You're doing a lot of extra stuff, but you're not getting paid for it. So you have to have strict boundaries and a strict idea of what your offer contains and doesn't contain. Be willing to upcharge for more. And honestly, prune down your features of your offers down to the core things that will help the client be successful. Anything beyond that, upcharge it. And I know it sounds a lot easier. It's like easier said than done, right? But it's true. Also, I should not discount the idea that you need to reduce your costs. It's not all about pricing. It's not all about that, but that is the thing you have the most control over. And that's why I've spent so much focus on that. You have the most control over all these policies and you make the rules. And if you don't enforce the rules, then they're not really rules. So once you simplify the offers down, you really focus on your pricing, you should also try your best to reduce the cost to deliver this product or service. You should try to find a way to reduce the per unit cost. You should be negotiating with your suppliers. You should try to get bulk order discounts. You should be even negotiating the terms and cash flow of them to make sure that you're spreading out payments if you need to, opening that up and reducing your risk there. These all help. But like I said, I think you have the most control over pricing. You have the most control over these types of things where you can set the tone and set the policy. So I would challenge you to really revisit those types of things. And the best thing you can do if you need to get more grounded in your pricing strategy is we actually have a pricing matrix worksheet we do as a part of our power sessions. We will walk you through the pricing matrix, figuring out all the prices to your offers, the cost of each offer, what you actually are paying, what your costs are for each type, what your core offer profit is, and then kind of setting you some targets on what you can do for each offer. And of course, all of these different things that I've talked about, these different levers you can pull, all of them are different and you'll have to adapt it to your own business. But what we will do is give you offer by offer suggestions on what you could do, because maybe you have a consulting type of offer, but maybe you also have it done for you, or maybe you also have a different type of service that's more educational. And we would look at the margin of each of these, look at what you should be focused on to sell, and figure out, hey, maybe we can actually prune offers that are less profitable. Maybe we can stop marketing them. We can focus on these core offers that are super profitable and just double down on marketing those. So all of these are possible. We do these in power sessions. We sit down together like a boardroom with me as your CFO, and we go through each of these different elements. We're going to go through all of the playbook in the coming episodes. But this is one that's close to my heart because I think a lot of people have never done this before, honestly. Like when you set your price, did you really sit down and go through this? A lot of people don't. And that's nothing to be ashamed of, but better late than never. So if you're interested in doing that, check out the link in the show notes. We'd love to have you at a power session. And I hope you found this helpful in terms of how to increase your core offer profit. In the next couple episodes, we're going to talk about operating profit. So stay tuned.
When it comes to scaling your business, your core offer is the foundation of your success. If you're finding that your margins aren't exactly supporting the cost of running your business, well, it's worth taking a closer look at your pricing strategy and your direct costs to hack it and figure out what your constraint is. Sometimes all it takes is small adjustments, like fine-tuning your pricing or streamlining your expenses. These can make a huge difference. Join me for a power session and let's dive deeper into the profitability of your core offer. All the information is in the show notes below.